How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about Blade Runner Black Lotus. This is the animated series from Adult Swim and Crunchyroll, and this is Season 1, Episode 13, and this one's entitled Time to Die. This is from February 5th/6, 2022, obviously depending on if this came out before or after midnight in your time zone. And this is directed by series creators Kenji Kamiyama and Shinji Aramaki, and once again stars Jessica Henwick as our lead Elle. But yeah, episode 13. This is the season finale. Lots of really fun stuff that this build towards, and I really am glad we got to see all this cool stuff. The show has had a handful of really action-heavy episodes, and this is another one of those, especially combined with the 1-2 punch that was episode 12 and now episode 13. Pretty cool and really satisfying with some brutal moments towards the end. Also, something happens that if you're fans of Blade Runner 2049, you've been expecting to happen, and we finally got it. But yeah, a really cool big fight scene at the old Wallace building. The Katana versus Claymore fight. Elle, aka Black Lotus, versus Water Lily, and we get to see the two go into this really fun, very stylish fight that you could really pull off a lot better with animation, because you can get all these crazy camera angles that'd be really hard to do in real life. Really good episode. Now that being said, it doesn't pull anything too out of nowhere, nothing too surprising. Niander Wallace doesn't bring out a giant 10-story tall replicant for Elle to fight or anything like that. And while a fair bit of this episode is relatively predictable, there are some cool surprising moments towards the end, but overall just really solid and a good finale to the season. Now, the ads did say season finale, not series finale, so I'm hoping we get more of this, but as of right now, it is a little bit up in the air. This could just be a mini-series. This could be maybe the first season of an anthology show. Maybe this season it's Black Lotus, but next season it'll be something else with a new character. I don't know. Or we could get a proper season 2, which I am kind of rooting for. This episode did tie most of the stuff up in a nice little bow, but they didn't close the door completely on doing a season 2. And it's a good end, but there definitely could be more. In particular, Officer Davis. We don't get to see her too much. She was stabbed in the last episode, but this episode she comes out in a wheelchair, and she says, and she's basically thinking, there's more evil out there, I want to go and fight it. And that's sort of the biggest hint as to what might happen in Season 2, and I really hope we get it. And I've said this a few times, but this is a show that definitely grew on me. When I first started watching it, there were definitely a few things that you notice, you know, the 3D animation as opposed to 2D, with all the characters feeling a little bit plasticky. And also, this is a much more pop aesthetic. I mean, look at all the music. It's much more upbeat and almost feels like dance music at times. And then, much more action-heavy than Blade Runner typically is. So it felt like the same world, but a different story, and it took me a minute to get into the groove, but after a few episodes, I started really looking forward to this show, and I was really glad when a new one would come out, and I was really looking forward to the season finale, and I hope we get more. I hope we get a season 2, or at the very least, some other Blade Runner animation. I want to see more in this world. I really like it, and I do like that this was a different story in the end, even though it was a little jarring at first. You don't want to do the same thing every single time. So here's hoping we get more, but a good finale for now if that's all we get. But anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and talk a bit about the plot. Now, I'm not going to be doing any major spoilers, but I do want to say my piece on a few plot points and make sure you guys have a basic understanding as to what this episode's about. We open up, Niander Wallace has retreated to the old building, the old Wallace building, and the very opening of this episode, we see Elle going up the elevator. Didn't mean to make that pun, but you can't help it. But anyway, she goes up the elevator, and she sees a few guards, but even more than normal, these guards are paper. She goes through them really quickly, and she busts into the office of Nyander Wallace, and he's sitting there behind a table. Really big, empty room, except for a few artifacts and a few art pieces. I don't know why they didn't take these to the new office. Maybe there just wasn't room. So it is sparsely furnished, but for the most part big and empty. And Nyander Wallace starts talking philosophically about how it's not often a creation gets to talk to its creator, and it's also rare for a creator to talk to something that he made. And he starts talking about how, I hoped you'd make it this far, and it starts to kind of feel like one of those join me speeches from Star Wars, you know, which isn't the last Star Wars comparison we'll make here. But anyway, Elle's not really having it. She whips out her katana and goes to strike him down, but finds that she can't. The blade stops mere inches from his face, and it turns out, you know how all her other group back in the doll hunt were unable to kill humans, Elle was able to fight this with Nyander Wallace's help, and she was able to overpower that, but of course he made an exception for himself. Nyander Wallace is the one person in the world that Elle can't kill, and boy does she want to. So she's there, the blade inches from his face, when of course Water Lily shows up and we get this really cool fight sequence. The first time they fought was definitely more preamble, and this is way better. Elle has her katana, and so we get a big sword fight, unlike last time, but also, there's no one to interrupt them this time around. You know, no police to storm in and call the fight off early. The only other person is Nyander Wallace, and he's content with watching this fight like the evil emperor. And these are two replicants going at it. They're very fast-paced, and they're fighting really, really quick, you know? So it does kind of feel like, say, a lightsaber fight from the Star Wars prequels. Very fast, pretty swashbuckling, but because this is animation and you can kind of pause time and move the camera around and get it perfect, they do take advantage of that and set up some really cool shots, you know, a really high shot, a really low shot, you know, really close, really far away. You know, they do take advantage of some crazy camera angles, and they do take the time, because it's animation, to set some stuff up perfectly and get some really cool little bits in there. Overall, a really good fight. But it's not just her. You also have Joseph, who shows up in this episode. Now, if you remember last time, Joseph and Marlo fought, and Joseph really, really almost died. So, Joseph's not looking too good, but he's gonna help Elle on her final mission. He's got a bag full of explosives, and he's going to that green room with all the tubes in it. Now, I talked about in the last episode, I thought these might be fertilized replicant eggs. Now I'm wondering if there's something like memory or processing power, you know? Some weird alternate Blade Runner version of this technology. So he goes to plant explosives on that to blow them up. And at first I thought it was kind of odd, Elle involved in some plan that would destroy potential replicants, but these replicants would have all been kind of like Water Lily there. They would have been, for the most part, brainwashed with no free will, and plus they would want to destroy all humans, and not just all humans on Earth. In this episode, Nyander Wallace does say he wants to reach out into Off-World. So yeah, definitely best to stop these things. So he goes to blow up what I'm guessing is the server room, but you know how he almost died? Well, Joseph is not doing too good, and he's limping around, and he's barely being able to do all this job, and he only has a limited amount of time while this fight's going on, so this is one of your tension moments. Can he make it in time? But I can't help but wonder, you know, maybe you could have gotten some help, like maybe Doc Badger could have showed up and done all the physical work for you, you know? you could come along, but when you're barely able to hold a detonator, maybe let someone step in and help. I don't know. But so that's the other big thing that's going on. But of course, the fight will end with some pretty brutal moments. You know, in me saying that, if you've seen the episode, you can definitely think of a few of them. And it does end with something that we were all expecting because we saw 2049, and I am glad we got to finally see it. It was pretty cool. And it does end with a pretty good finale. You know, this is an action-heavy episode. In the last episode, we saw Joseph versus Marlowe, and that was a really grungy, hard-hitting fight with lots of weight behind it, and that was really fun. But this one is the flashier fight, and I might like the Joseph versus Marlowe one better, but this one definitely was more flashy, big over-the-top sword fight as only two replicants could do, and I really did like it. And yeah, some really cool moments towards the end, and I like that it, you know, it wrapped everything up nicely, but we still might get a season 2, and I am really holding out hope for that. Overall, a fun episode, and I really did like it. Now, next week on the channel, I might do a Season 1 review where I talk about the series as a whole, and then I might do another video, spoiler talk / miscellaneous thoughts, so there will be more Blade Runner stuff on here in the future. Also, I think the Blade Runner 2029 Volume 2 comic book, the trade paperback, should be coming out. I hope I can get my hands on that. Anyway, more stuff to come in the future. To everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Blade Runner playlist where you can find my reviews for all the past episodes of the series. And you can also find my reviews for the first movie, Kurt Russell and Soldier. That's the spin-off film. And a lot of the comics are in there as well. Hopefully I can get to that new one pretty soon. But anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.